So we're going to look at making frequency distributions with qualitative and quantitative data. So qualitative, remember, non-numeric, quantitative, numeric, and we'll do for those grouped and ungrouped. And then we'll also look at creating these different types of graphs. So let's first talk about some vocabulary. So frequency. Frequency is really how many in a category. So how many of your data values are a certain value? Cumulative frequency is the running total. Relative frequency, so this is like the percent in a particular category. So this would be the number in a category divided by the total number. And then relative cumulative frequency, RCF, is the relative or the cumulative frequency divided by the total number. So N stands for total number instance. Okay. So here we go. We're going to do one on this qualitative variable that is people's favorite pets. So we're just going to count up how many people prefer dogs, and that will be the frequency for the dogs. So here we go. Dog, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people prefer dogs. And for cats, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Fish, 1, 2, 3. 4 for fish. And for birds, my last one, 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay, now how many total people did I ask? So we can get that by either adding up our frequencies, so 8 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3, and get 20. Or we could just count how many were on our list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 2, 20. Awesome. So then for relative frequency, to find the relative frequency, we're going to take the frequency for each category, right? So these are the different categories: dogs, cats, fish, birds. So I had 8 of the 20 who preferred dogs. So 8 over 20 or 0.4. So you can either write this as a fraction or the decimal, or finally, you can write that as a percent. So you can change the 0.4 into 40%. Multiply by 100, add the percent symbol. Okay, and we're just going to go down the table then. 5 divided by 20 is that. You don't have to do all three, so you can pick whichever one you want to go with. So 4 divided by 20, I'm going to pick one now, so I'm going to say 20%. And 3 divided by 20 for that last one, 15%. Okay. Now when we go to make a Pareto chart is just a fancy name for a bar chart. And what we want to make sure to do is go largest frequency to smallest, so that my bars are in decreasing order, decreasing heights. So I'll go ahead and grab a different color here. So my frequencies, they go on the vertical axis, and then my different categories along the horizontal. So I have dogs, and then cats, and then, oh, am I going in the right order? Small, yes. So they were in order this time. They might not be, okay? It's just because I happen to write them down that way. So you want to make sure you're going in decreasing frequency. Dogs, cats, fish, birds. And then the frequencies have to be able to denote between 3 and 8. So I'll just mark off by ones. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I just label a couple of them so it doesn't get too messy. So then dogs, we're just going to draw a bar that goes up 8 for the frequency for dogs. Cats, same thing. So we're going to go up to 5 and draw a rectangle. So there are 5. Fish to 4, and then birds to 3. So that's how you can make a Pareto chart and a frequency distribution for a qualitative variable. So now then, let's look at a quantitative variable. So this first one we're going to do is for ungrouped frequency. So we will not group them if I don't have that many different values that I have to keep track of. So if I ask people, how many tea, coffee, energy drinks do you consume in a day? Right, you're not going to expect the numbers to range really, really wildly. So, right, 0, 1, 4, maybe we would have included a 5 plus, you could have gone that far. If you get much more than that, probably you'd start grouping, but for this many, I'm just going to count. So for 0 drinks, there were 12 people who don't do anything. I'm not sure how they survive. So there are 15 people who only do 1 drink. Again, gosh, how do you even do that? 5 people with 2, 3 people with 3, we're getting warmer, and my people here with 5 who do 4 or more. Okay, so how many total? To do relative frequency, I need the total number of people I ask. So to get that, I have to add up all of my frequencies. So I'm going to go ahead and toss in a symbol here. So remember our capital sigma. So we're going to add up all of those frequencies, and that will tell us the n, the total number of people that I asked. So here we go. I'm going to move my calculator over because I don't trust my math anymore. 12 plus 15 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5, 40. Awesome. So then to do relative frequency, it is 12 divided by 40. And 15 divided by 40. And 5 divided by 40. And 3 divided by 40. And another 5 divided by 40. Okay. Cumulative frequency, this is our running total. So we're going to be adding up our frequencies as we go along. So the first one always stays the same. But then the next one, I'm going to take the 12 that I had and add on the 15 that we gain. So 12 plus 15 is 27. So 27 people drink 1 or fewer energy drinks. So I'll add on the 5 to that, so 32. So 32 people drink 2 or fewer energy drinks. 35 people drink 3 or fewer. So I'm taking the 32 that I had, adding on the next 3. And then finally, that end number in your cumulative frequency column should match your n. And then relative cumulative frequency, exactly. We'll just take this column and divide it by 40. So I'll write these as percents, so 12 divided by 40, so we have 30%. 27 divided by 40, 67.5%. So 67.5% of us drink 1 or fewer drinks. 80%. By the time we get to 2 or fewer, we have 80% of the people who were asked. 87.5%. And finally, that last one is supposed to be 100%. Okay, now, when we want to create a bar chart for this data, going in order of frequency doesn't really make sense because we can absolutely talk about ordering the number of drinks. So we would order, right, the number of drinks along the bottom. Frequency is always going to be our vertical number. So frequency, right, this column right here is our vertical bar. And then across the bottom, we're going to put our category. So which category did you fall in? Are you a 0 drinker or a 2 drinks a day for your energy drinks? So those make sense to put in order. So I'll go ahead and do 0, 1, 2, 3, pretend they're evenly spaced, and then our 4 plussers. And then my frequencies, I have to be able to denote between 3 and 15. So what am I going to do? I might count by 2s maybe. 1, I'd say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I'm going to grab a different color here. If you need graph paper, if that's going to make you feel better, you should go ahead and do that. Let's see. Okay, so 0. Frequency for 0 was 12. So I'm going to make a bar that goes around my 0 up till 12. For 1, I'm going to go up to 15, 12, 14, so it's halfway in between here. For 2, we want to go up to 5, so that's not that far. For 3, we're just at 3, 2, 4, so halfway in between. And for 4, we're back up to 5. Okay. They can be touching, they don't have to be. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we have a list that spans a large range, right? So I go from 3 to, what is I see a 35, there might even be something bigger up there. So I would not want to have something from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 35. That would be too many different values and I wouldn't be able to see a pattern. So what we do then is we group it together, we kind of clump. So we're going to do a frequency distribution table that has 5 classes. So that's, a class is a synonym for those categories, right? So 5 categories. So the first thing we have to do is figure out the class width, which is involved with the range. So we need our highest value minus our lowest value. And I can't believe I didn't look at this ahead. I see the 36. Oh my gosh, I hope there's not anything bigger. Holler, although I'm not going to hear you if you see something. But we'll say 36 minus the 3. So 36 minus 3. So 33 is our class width. And then we divide by the number of classes. I'm sorry, this is our range. Sorry, I was thinking ahead. This is our range, highest minus lowest. To get the class width, we take the 33, divide it by the number of classes, and I just arbitrarily chose 5. You could choose 6, 7, 8, whatever you think is going to give you the best idea. And then divide by 5, so 6.6. And then we're going to round up to 7. So we always round up. Okay, even if this would have been 6.2, we're going to round up to 7 to get our class lists. I'm sorry, our class widths. Our tables will have the following headings. So limits, boundaries. Let's see, where's my next page? Oh, limits and boundaries. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can get all of this to show up on the same screen. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a number that is as small or smaller than the smallest one of our values. So I just chose 3 as our starting point. Now, I want the fact that our class width is 7, that means I'm going to have 7 values in that class. So from 3, so 3 is there, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the ending value to get 7 values there. So the start of the next limit is 10, 1 up. So here's where the add 7 is. Or it's also over here, add 7. So I know I'll start at 16. So the next one, add 7, or 1 up from there, add 7, 23. 7, add 1, 24, 30, finally, 31 up to 37. Did I get off there? That's plus 6, that's plus 6, plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. Nope. Okay, looks good. So then the class boundaries, what this does, so I'm going to scroll back here. See how we had these gaps here? So these class boundaries are going to take out those gaps. So we're just going to squish those together by doing a decimal in between. Okay. So I would do plus and minus 0.5 on the ends. So 2.5 to 9.5. And then I'm going to start at that 9.5, right? Same. So I write the two classes bang together there. 16.5, 16.5 to 23.5, 23.5 to 30.5, 30.5 to 37.5. We can find our midpoints. Again, add, divide by 2. So 3 plus 9 is 12, divide by 2 is 6. 10 plus 16 is 26, divide by 2 is 13. Looks like I'm adding 7. I'm going to go ahead and just do that in my head. Add 7. Or you can add these two together and divide by 2, right? That's still going to work. I'll show you just in case you're worried. 31 plus 37, enter, divide 2. Right, that gets us the 34 as well. Okay, yes, I know I'm starting to go fast. Here we go. Remember, you've got a pause button. Frequency. So now I just want to go through my list up here and see who goes into what category. How many do I have in each of them? And this might take me just a second. In fact, I think I'm going to pause it if you guys want to count on your own, just so that you're not spending a whole lot of time watching me. Okay, so I have all of mine totaled up. There are 40 of them. I noticed a mistake because when I first went through, I only had 10 in that last category, but then when I add them up, I got to 39, and I said, oh, but I've got 40 here, so I must have lost one. So I went back and looked, and I found it. Okay, so remember, just to check your work, that's one way you can do it. So here we go. Relative frequency, again, frequency divided by the total, so 10 over 40, okay, or 25%. 6 over 40, 15%. 9 over 40 is 22.5%, 10%, and then 11 over 40, that last one, 27.5%. Cumulative frequency, again, if you want to pause and try, first one stays the same, and then we just add on as we go through. So we started with 10, then we got the next 6, then we got the next 9, then we get the next 4, then we get the last 11. And then relative cumulative frequency is, again, just your cumulative frequency column over your grand total. So I'm just going to write them as fractions this time so we can keep moving. Okay, so then let's talk about some graphs. So histogram for the data. So when you draw a histogram, you can either use your class boundaries or your class midpoints. It doesn't matter. I have seen, I think it's Excel or Google Sheets, they actually do the class limits. I guess it's okay. I haven't really seen it that way except on those two programs, and I can't remember which one. Again, the frequency is the vertical. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the midpoints then. So at 6 and then at 13. So I'm just going to space these guys, and at 20 and at 27. So these are the midpoints. So I want my bars. Histogram is another bar chart. And then last one, 34. My frequencies, 6 to 11. I got down to 4. Okay, so by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we're just going to do bars. So these are the middle, so they'll be in the middle of my rectangle. So that first one, has a frequency of 10. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that goes up till 10 and then goes over the 6. And then for the midpoint of 13, it has a frequency of 6. So I'm going to attach it, but then go across the 13. So 13's in the middle. My height is 6 for the frequency. And then it's going to connect up with the 20, right? Midpoint of 20 has a frequency of 9. So back up and then back down. Around the 27, it's only up at 4. And then at 34, we pop right back up to 11. So that'll be our tallest one. Okay, so there is a histogram. Now, a frequency polygon is really just a histogram, but what we use are the midpoints, kind of like what we just did. 6, 13, 20, 27, 34. And then our frequencies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Our ordered pairs, so a frequency polygon, these are ordered pairs where it's your midpoint for the x value, and your frequency for the y value, right? So our first point would be 6, 10. So we'd go over to 6, up to 10, and I'm just going to do a dot, right? It's just an ordered pair. So my next one is 13, 6. So I go to the 13 in the x direction, 6 in the y direction. Next one, my midpoint is 20, so that's my x value. Can you guys see that? Oh, I'm sorry, here we go. Sorry, x value is 20, my y value is 9. So there is that. 27, 4, right there. 34, 11, all the way up top. And then we just connect these with straight line segments. Nice little W there. An ogive. So an ogive is it's going to be a frequency polygon, so it's going to be a line graph like this, except the vertical axis is the cumulative frequency. And the horizontal axis, we're going to label with those class boundaries. So I'm going to start at 2.5, 9.5, 16.5, 23.5, 30.5, and 37.5. Now when I do my vertical ones, those are the cumulative frequencies, so I have to go between 10 and 40. Okay, so maybe I'll just mark off by 10s even, or maybe by 5s. How about 5s? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And then again, it's going to be ordered pairs. So at 2.5, right, when we are at 2.5, we don't have any values there, so that actually starts here at 0. By the time I get to the end of 9.5, I've accumulated 10. By the time I get to 16.5, I've accumulated, where is it? 16, right? So I'm all the way up to 16. So that's about here. By the time I get to 23.5, I've accumulated 25. So there's that dot. By the time I get to 30.5, I've got 29. Well, so a little bit of a leveling off. And by the time I get to 37.5, right, on my boundary, right, on my touchdown passes, then my cumulative frequency, I have all 40 of my quarterbacks. Okay, so last graph, make sure you guys can see this. This is a stem and leaf plot. So a stem and leaf plot, it's really easiest just to show you. The key is that your leaves are only 1 digit long. So you kind of do a little flaggy looking thing here. So you're going to make your stems however big they have to be so that you can see this data. So this looks like some test scores to me. So I have a 91, I have 100, nice. So I'm going to start at the top. So I would do a 10, and then I'm just going to go down in order, 9, 8, 7, 6. So it looks like I've got a 50 and a 40. Oh, shucks, 5, 4. So these all stand for the tens position in the numbers. So 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40. And then in the leaf position, so these are my stems. And then for the leaves, I'm just going to do the ones position. So 97, here's the 90 part, so I just do the 7 here. 68, here's the 60, I just need the 8 here. 100, well, that's 10 tens, right? And 0 ones. So we'll put a 0 for the ones position. 52, 78, there's another 78. So I just do another 8 right beside. I'm not going to put commas or anything in between them. 79. Oh gosh, a 32. That's too bad. And another 32. 77. 63. 89. 49. 89. Oh, thank goodness. 85. 61. 66. 67. 63. 71. 91. 80. 83. Another 83, 59, 80, 83. Okay, so you can kind of get an idea of, right, how the class did. I had quite a few 80s, so, right, and some trouble spots down here for sure, but I've got quite a few up here in the A's and B's. Okay, so that's how you do a stem and leaf plot.